Welcome back, football fans, to another episode of the Prediction Show. Consecutive days, you've got me again. Thanks to you hitting that like button, I am here again. And the same applies for tomorrow. If you want a Europa League special, Conference League is also on. 1,000 likes. I'm going to up the ante a little bit. We hit 500 no problem yesterday. So let's up it a little bit. 1,000 likes. And in this episode, hopefully we're going to have another winner. Yesterday, 4.06. Fantastic stuff. What a value bet it was for Barnet. They won 3-1 in the end, edging even closer to promotion. And our Champions League double was let down by an 88th minute card for Atalanta, who, by the way, have exited the competition. Not many of you suggested that they would. A lot of you were backing them in the comments yesterday. And well done to this user for this comment. You have won a month of OddAlerts Pro. And what I'm going to do on this video as well is show you how you can find bets like the one we had yesterday, the Barnet one. That was on one of my home win filters, so I'm going to show you exactly how you can create that so that going forward you can find them without me. Sound good? Okay, let's get into the video. So here we are then with the Champions League games. What a set of fixtures this is. Real Madrid, Man City, what is the score going to be? Who's going to go through? Get your comments in. That is what I want to hear from you today. Your predictions for this game. Who's going to score? What's the score going to be? Whatever you want to talk about, get it in the comments and I will enter the discussion as well. I will reply to every comment just as I did yesterday. And PSV Juventus, 2-1 from the first leg to Juventus. We're going to take a look at that. I've got an interesting market for it that some of you will not like. I've got a couple of markets that I know most of you will not like. But Real Madrid, Man City, what a game that's going to be. Which one are you going to watch, or are you going to flick between them? The other two games, they're a bit of a dead rubber to me. I think some markets that could potentially come through are most goals to be scored in the second half, because if I was the manager of Dortmund or PSG, what I would be doing is keeping them at arm's length for the first 45 minutes, first 20-30 minutes at least. You don't want to overextend and allow them to score early, allow them to build momentum. They're 3-0 down, both of these teams, so it's going to be incredibly difficult for them to not just score 3 goals, but keep a clean sheet against a team that put 3 past you a week ago. So, yeah, Dortmund have scored in every Champions League game this campaign. You expect them to do the same. They're actually the only team playing tonight that has done that, Dortmund. So that's an interesting stat there that we can see at a glance on the stats scroller. That's how I saw that. And speaking of stats at a glance, you're probably wondering what this is. This is a new ticker, and you can see here going past over 2.5 goals probability. It is ranking all games on the site by the over 2.5 goals probability model and showing them you. There you go, and hopefully that keeps you engaged as I ramble. This is for the next sort of 24 to 48 hours. And speaking of rambling, let's get into the first game. We're going to tackle PSV Juventus first before moving on to the big one, Real Madrid Man City. So this is a tough one to call. I mentioned I've been looking at a couple of markets that I know people will not like. And one of those markets is unders, and the other is the draw. And I'll show you why in a moment, but first, let's just take a look at the last 25 games worth of data. I don't know why that was on away. We're looking at PSV's home form here across the last 25 games, so the home games that they've played in that period. 60 goals scored and 3.53 per game. In Juventus, they don't concede many goals, but they're not scoring many either. 1.4 per game. BTTS in 53% of games, so identical record here for both of these teams. Over 1.5 goals in every single home game. Will this one go the same way? And you can see it is quite different for Juventus. And I just want to show you the away form of Juventus at the moment across all competitions, because this is their overall form. They're doing pretty well, but three of those four games were at home. So if we look at their away form, there's a lot of draws and there's a lot of games where they fail to score more than once. And these are not knockout games or anything, so this is just them not being able to finish off an opponent. But now that they have got the lead, I think they would take this kind of performance where they just shut up shop, and I think they're more than capable of doing it as well. But this is what they're up against. PSV's home record. Incidentally, they do come into this having drawn the last couple of games. We'll take a look at the odds for the draw in a moment. I think the peak is 3.8 on the odds comparison tool, but as you can see, they score for fun. They have beat Liverpool at home, but it was a Liverpool without Trent, without Alisson, without Salah, etc. and so on, no Van Dijk. So it was a heavily rested Liverpool. They put 3 past them. I don't know if they can do that against Juventus. I would back them to score, but how many? 1-1 is what I'm thinking for this game. Let me know what you think in the comments. We'll now jump to Bet365 to take a look at some of the odds, and then we'll just jump back and forth between the data and the odds to see what we can find. So 3.7 at the moment for the draw, and as I say, I'm really feeling that PSV are the favourites for this game with the bookmakers, which is pretty interesting. BTTS at 1.61. As I say, in my mind, 1-1, but again, it could easily be 1-0 or something, and then it goes to extra time. It's just all dependent on how Juventus play, what sort of Juventus turn up. The market that I was looking at, which people would not enjoy putting on because of the way your brain works, is under 4 goals at 1.44. I know people hate it, but I can see it. And if you just look at Juventus's away games across the last sort of 20-30 games, it comes in an awful lot. They do not score many goals, but they do not concede many goals either. Now, are PSV going to change that? The next market I am looking at here is corners. Obviously, PSV chasing the game early on. They're going to be going at it. The atmosphere is going to be exceptional. And you can see just by the graph here that there are more corners when PSV play at home in the Champions League this season. This is not last 25 data anymore. This is just this season in the Champions League. Corners for 27 at home for PSV compared to 14 away from home for Juventus. In terms of corners conceded, it's very close, 14 against 15, so 3.5 and 3.75 per game. And I mentioned this, and corners for here as well, you can see the corner match is what I was thinking, but we'll take a look at the odds in a moment. Over 5 corners, so 5 or more corners, away from home, Juventus just 25% in the Champions League this season. If we look at overall form, it jumps up a little bit, but not much, 33%. So corners not a massive part of their game at the moment, certainly in the Champions League thus far. Whereas PSV, they've had 7 or more corners in 75% of their home games. If we look at overall, goes down a little bit to 56%. And in this type of game, you would expect them to be attacking more, especially in the first half. First half corners could be a play, but obviously it's a bit more risky because you know after 45 minutes, you've either won or lost. You can't claw back the corners. So that is the corner data. Feel free to check this out. Link in the description to OddAlerts. If not, you can check out all this data for free. Just create an account. And now let's take a look at the odds. So incidentally, here are the first half corner markets. PSV to have over 1 corner gets this to 1.72. Over 2 corners, 2.3 potentially. I'm not going to take the risk. I'm going to go with the full match market, and we're going to go over 4 corners, 1.83. And that double will make up the first section of our Champions League predictions for today. And the next section will come from the Man City Real Madrid game. Real Madrid Man City game. So let's take a look at that. And as always, let me know your predictions for these games in the comments. Can't wait to read them. Let's move on to the big one. So Real Madrid, Manchester City. Will Manchester City rue those mistakes at the end of the first leg? They were cruising slightly, weren't they? And then Real Madrid came back 3-2. I'm just looking at the cards here on the result tab. There was not a single card in the first leg. Quite incredible. I don't believe that will be the case. Not at the Bernabeu. Absolutely not. And interestingly, the last couple of games for City in the Champions League, no cards. If we're looking at cards for City, not many, not massively. Opponents, again, not massively. I think the Champions League this year, the cards have decreased ever so slightly. As you can see, there's not a massive card count for Real Madrid's games either. There's a couple of games, the Liverpool game. This one, I do think, because it's pure knockout, I think it will be a little bit different. It will be heated at times. Real Madrid at home, that atmosphere, I am going to go with, as you'll see here, them to get over 1 card in the game, which takes this to 2.64. We're not done yet. Let me take a look at some more data and get back to you. So looking at Real Madrid's form, they come into this with 1 defeat in the last 5. Manchester City, big win against Newcastle, and if they play like that, then absolutely they can score in this game. I don't want to guess who's going to go through, because as we've seen, when these teams meet, anything can happen. BTTS is where I'm leaning. If we look at the home games for Real Madrid, they've conceded in the last 5 games, and actually in quite a few games. And one thing that also sticks out is that over 1.5 goals has landed in every game at home since the 25th of May last year. So over 1.5 goals, odds are terrible, as you might expect, but BTTS also equals over 1.5 goals. So let's take a look at that, and then we will also look at some player markets just to have a discussion about it. BTTS gets this to 3.5. Let me know what you think about this. 3.5, it's a nice range for me, as you know. Under 4 goals, PSV Juventus, I can see many of you not doing that, disagreeing with that. Let me know in the comments. Over 4 corners for PSV. Over 1 card for Real Madrid. Expecting cards in this game. I know there was blanks in the last couple for City in the Champions League, but it's got to change sometime, and this is jeopardy. And both teams to score in this one. The way City played against Newcastle, if Marmoush is up to it, if Haaland is fit and firing after his little knee scare at the end of that game, then I think BTTS is a good option. A 1-0 lead doesn't really mean that you can sit back and relax against City. I don't think so, and Real Madrid will be well aware of that. They do have some defenders back, so not expecting them to be as open at the back as they were in the previous game. 3.5. Let me know what you think about this one. And now we will just take a quick look at some of the player, shot, tackle, foul, passing, etc. and so on markets. So Marmoush shot on target is 1.61. He got a hat-trick, didn't he, in 20 minutes or whatever it was. Phil Foden, who's been starting. Savinho. The thing with City, as is always the thing with City, is it's difficult to know who's going to start. Does De Bruyne come in? He didn't come off the bench against Newcastle. Was he being rested, or is he just that far down the pecking order now? Gonzalez, 3.25, pretty deep for my liking. Real Madrid, where is Bellingham? 1.61. So Bellingham is the same odds as Marmoush. I would be thinking Marmoush is a better option there if you're wanting to put somebody on that is sort of guaranteed to start. I don't think he gets dropped, Marmoush, after that incredible performance from him. He runs his heart out, which is good. To score or assist, though, and this is where they differ, I would go Bellingham, and the odds have dropped. Usually he's around 2.3, but he's just so good, isn't he, Bellingham? Got sent off at the weekend, though, for swearing at the ref, but 1.9 for Bellingham. Marmoush, score or assist, 1.95. That's pretty decent, I think. So my picks, again, for the shot on target or for the score or assist would be Bellingham or Marmoush. So that is the Champions League so far. Let's now jump to the Premier League, because we've got a big game there tonight. Yes, Liverpool chasing the title away at Aston Villa, 1.9. Can you imagine if Rashford scores in this game? That'll be a good moment for him, won't it, as a United fan? 1.9 peak odds with SBO for Liverpool. We can take a look at the data quickly. Last 5 games, shall we say, in the Premier League. Aston Villa have scored 5 goals in the last 5 games and not in the best of form. Liverpool during that period have scored 12. We can look at the last 6, 10. And you can just see that Aston Villa, they're not really in peak form at the moment. No wins in 4 games. They've failed to score more than 1 in 4 of those last 5 games, which again is unlike them. At home, though, this is what they're working with. Just 1 defeat, and it came to Arsenal at the start of the season. What are you thinking for this one? It's a very tough game to call, isn't it? And the Premier League is often like that. Liverpool, 1 defeat all season. Away from home, they've scored 2 goals in the last 3 games. I'm actually gravitating towards unders again for this one. I don't know what's wrong with me today. There has been 3 or more cards in 90% of games. There has been 4 or more cards in 90% of games at home for Aston Villa, and 5 or more cards in 70% of games for Aston Villa. In terms of receiving a card, Liverpool have received a card in 90% of away games so far this season. Villa's opponents have received a card in 100% of games this season. First half cards, quite a high average, I would say, 2.1 for Aston Villa as well. We had first half cards in the Man United game at the weekend, and that came in, didn't it? That was quite a nice one. Second half cards, the average is bigger, as it always is. We'll take a look at the referee now, who is Craig Pawson, and his Premier League record this season looks like this: 4.5 cards per game. In terms of booking both teams, he has done that in 12 out of his 14 games. He's booked the home team in 93% of games and the away team in 93% of games. So both teams to get a card looks good. In terms of the first half card, he has produced one in just under 80% of his games. Second half card as well. So as it is very tough to call this game, and the odds are not quite there for a Liverpool win for me, 1.83. We saw that Aston Villa's record at the minute at home is very good, regardless of their form overall. They're still capable of pulling some out of the bag. So let's have a look at the probability model first. So the probability model actually giving over evens as implied odds for a Liverpool victory. The highest rated market is unders, under 3.5 goals at 1.52. BTTS at 1.69. So 1-1 or 2-1 score maybe, narrow win. Let's take a quick look at the shots on target as well using the results tab. So at home, 6-4, 5-4, 6-5. So 4+ in every game, apart from a Man United game, incidentally. Liverpool away from home, they have had 4 or more as well in the majority of games. Just 4 shots on target against Everton the other day. What about shots on target against? They have conceded 3-3, 6-3, 0 against West Ham. Poor day for West Ham, that. The average, you would say, is about 4 or 5. And for Aston Villa, they have conceded, I would say the average is fewer here. But there is obviously the anomaly when they play City. They're playing Liverpool, so you would expect a higher amount here. But you would say 3 or 4 on average in terms of the amounts of shots on targets conceded. So let's use this data and apply it. So this is what I'm looking at so far, and probably not the popular choice. Unders again, over 1 card for Aston Villa in the game. Villa to get the most cards in this game. You can take that or leave that one. You can maybe just have the cards. We'll see what the shot markets are saying as well. So total shots on target. Let's look at Liverpool. Liverpool to have over 3.5 takes this to 4.75. What we'll do is just remove this for a moment and then see how this affects things. So Liverpool to have over 4.5 shots on target. Let's just have a look at the data again. So away from home, this is just shots, isn't it? Let's have a look at shots on target. 4, 7, 8, 7, 13, 12, 5. So Liverpool to have over 4.5 shots gets this to 3.5, which is kind of the sweet spot for me. You can add in Aston Villa to get the most cards again, but I think there's potential that Liverpool do get cards in this game as well. We can just check that as well on the results tab, and we can see that in the last 3 away games they have received 3 cards, and for Villa at home they have received 0, 2, 0, 2, 3. Now this is a different type of game, of course. The zeros were against Ipswich and Leicester. This is a different type of game. We can see when they played City, they received 3. When they played Palace, Brentford, they received cards. 7 against Bournemouth. That was a crazy game. Yeah, 3.5, it is the sweet spot for me. Let me know what you think about this one in the comments. Liverpool to have 4.5 or more shots on target, over 1 card for Villa, and under 4 goals. So 2-1's covered, 2-0, 3-0 is covered, Let me know what you think about that in the comments. 3.5, and now we're going to move on, as I said at the start, to the Nigerian Premier League. From the Premier League in England to Nigeria. Now this is the leagues page, and you can just scroll down until you find N for Nigeria, and we go there and we click on the Premier League, and you can just view all of the stats for the teams and stuff like that. You can go into the fixtures, of course. There are fixtures today, which is why I'm mentioning this, to be honest, because we can look at the profit here. And this is all throughout the history of the OddAlerts database. So now, for most leagues, most markets, not profitable based on this calculation. What we do here is place £10 on every single fixture that has odds, regardless of like the model or anything like that. There's no filtering. This is just purely, is this league profitable for this market? Now, if we look at the latest league, the market that I'm going to show you here is the double chance for home, win or draw. We can see this season alone, and this is just based on £10 bets, 146 wins, £664 of profit. That is incredible, isn't it? And last year, over £1,000, 220 wins. That's for the full season completed, and obviously the home win as well. Quite nice. For the season before that, £534 overall. Fewer wins, maybe fewer games that had odds. The season before that, it was over £1,000 again for the completed season, 227 wins. And in 2020-21, it was also over £1,000. So this is a market that has data for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seasons now. And this football leagues page, you can actually look and rank all leagues by a certain statistic like home wins, and then you can go into each one and check out that profitability tab. You can see there the current season for the NPFL, 152 out of 240 games, 63% have ended with a home win. Another remarkable one, I'll just show you here, is this Guatemalan league as well. So we can check out the profit tab, and straight away you can see throughout the whole database, £663 of profit. If we look at the most recent season, £408, 145 wins. Last season, 622, and then the season before, over £1,000. It's not as profitable as the Nigerian Premier League, but of course, this is just the absolute tip of the iceberg base data. This is just flat stakes on a league based on nothing. Once you know this and you see this, you can then filter for these leagues, and then you can also download the CSVs as well from the download page and just see exactly what games came through, which games won, what were the statistics for that game, were there any trends that you can extract further, and yeah, really interesting way to do stuff. Just another angle, really, another way to profit from the data available on OddAlerts. So that is it. That is the video. It's gone on for too long. There was a quick filter plan, but it's just gone on for too long, this video. So I'm going to have to cut it short because I've got work to do on the site. I've got a brand new feature coming this week, which is OddAlerts AI for pre-match games. So stay tuned for that. And of course, get your comments in. Let me know what you think of this video, and I will see you in the next one.